things inside Google that I love using on a daily basis. We're going to talk about some applications, things that you can use to monitor your business, help your business, and grow your business. Because that's what we're all here to do, right? We want to, the end result from everything we're doing here is what? Bobby, what's the end result? You know this from my last time.
I have no idea.
Make money, exactly. So, let's get started today. We're going to talk about, first off, Google Analytics, okay? Google Analytics basically allows you to track everything and anything on your website. It allows you to see how many people are visiting, where they're visiting from, what type of computer they're visiting on, how long are they staying. Some things that I wanted to point out here on this slide. A lot of people don't understand, first off, bounce rate. Anybody here doesn't know what the bounce rate is on your Google Analytics, and you go, what the heck is this, right? Bounce rate is somebody visits your site. Maybe they got a link off of Facebook. They come in, they read just one blog post, they see one thing, and they click X and go right out. That means they came in, saw one thing, bounced right out of there. If they click on a link, go to another page, they look at something else, do whatever, that's no longer a bounce. So bounce rate, we want to have that number as low as possible. That means people are spending more time there, they're looking at more things, they're doing more, right? Some other interesting things here. You can see down at the bottom, you have this nice little graphic that shows you the sources where people are coming from. And you'll see right now, referring sites, mine is huge. Why? Because I use a lot with social media. About 35 to 40% of the traffic into my site is coming directly from Twitter and Facebook. People see my stuff there, they come in, they read it, they share it with their friends, they come in then as well. Also, a lot of it too, the other main section is the search engines, which is Google. So we're going to talk a couple tools about that today as well. Some other things. Hi guys, come on in. Tell them hi. Hi. All right. So how about some other things we'll talk about? So the browser traffic. Maybe you're wondering, where are people coming from? What kind of computer are they using? Better yet, you're probably thinking, what does it matter, right? Who cares? It's actually a very important thing to understand this, because sometimes your site is built and looks awesome on a Windows machine, but horrible in a Mac, on Safari, or, which is usually more the case, is it's the opposite way around. It looks horrible in Internet Explorer. And you know, I'm an Apple guy, I'm all about Macintosh and that, but if you notice, my top group is still Internet Explorer. So is it important that my site looks well and works well for those people? Most definitely. So you can track those things. You can see what type of web browser they're using. Another thing that's really important is down here in the bottom, mobile traffic. It's huge, guys. If you're not having your site ready for mobile, you need to get it there quick. People are starting to come. You can see total visits to my site, 19,806. 2,200 of them are coming on a mobile phone. So do you think you need to have something that looks well, works well? If it takes 5 minutes for your website to load on my phone, do you think I'm going to stay? Definitely not. Even better yet, you know, I have a lot of friends who are from outside the country. When they come into the United States, if they load my site and it's 700K in size, they just spent like 12 bucks to look at a blog post. It better be a really good blog post for them to spend $12. So get it in a web browser, get a mobile app of some sort connected in, make it really important for them. But you can see, it shows you in analytics how they're coming in. Obviously iPhone's #1, the Android's there, iPad, you know, so make it well. And also, don't discount the Blackberries. People are still doing it, #4 on the list. Some other things here inside the Google Analytics that you can see. You can see the top visited pages to your site. Why is that important? You want to know, where are people landing on your site? Where are they going to? My business, one of the big things that we do is we build WordPress sites. So do you think I want to have that towards the top of the list? Most definitely. And that's where I've been able to move it, is into the second most visited page of my site, next to my home page, is that. I can see then one of the other things we do is we do classes and teaching. That's right there at #5. The other thing, speaking, coming here, going, you know, to wherever. That's in my top 10. So the 3 main parts of my business are sitting in my top 10. And that took months and months and months of changing the way my site was built, changing the way the layout was to get people where I wanted them to be. It's really important to pay attention to it. The other thing is you can take care of keywords that are typed to get people to your site. And sometimes you'll find some interesting things. I don't know if you can read it in the back, but this one down here at the bottom says, "Who is Jeremy Blanton's wife?" I was a little freaked out by that one. Was it? That explains a lot. But I've seen some really, really interesting things people have typed in before. One time I found somebody who had copied and pasted an article of mine, and because they had used like a sentence and a half to see, hey, this is good, you think I can use it for ranking? I found that when I took that same sentence and a half, put it back in Google, it took me right to her site underneath mine. I picked up the phone, I said, "Excuse me, you don't have permission to use this. Remove it now, or my attorney will be in contact." Surprisingly, it came down. So check those things inside Google Analytics. It's really, really helpful. It'll help you to get your site fine-tuned. You know, we happen a lot of times to get a great site built, but we never go back and actually see if it's working. And what happens a lot of times, and I deal with real estate agents every day on this, my site's not doing anything. Okay, well, let's look at it and see what we can fix. No, I just want a new one. And they go all the way back to the starting again and start all over instead of just tweaking some minor things. So let's move on. Google AdWords. You want to know, what are people typing to get to your site, right? How can we increase traffic there? I was working on Monday with a client. He's in Charleston, South Carolina. And one of his terms that he really, he said, I want to be #1 for is search the Charleston MLS. And I said, why do you want to be #1 for that? He said, because my other site, it's one of the things that gets traffic to it. I said, do you realize that in AdWords, less than 100 people a month type that in? Instead of search the Charleston MLS, let's just work on ranking for this. It gets 3,000. Or I have another client, he made this fitness equipment. And I said to him, I said, okay, Victor, what's your top keyword? And he said, cheap workout equipment. And I said, okay, cheap workout equipment. Type it in, 180. I said, but underneath it, it'll show you alternate phrases. And one of them was cheap fitness equipment, which gets 8,800. So sometimes just the smallest of change can make the biggest of difference. And you can get there, there's a whole long link up at the top. It'll take you right in. Another thing that's a really cool tool too, and this is what the slide shows here, is you can grab one of your competitors' website. Who's somebody who's always ranking ahead of you? What are their keywords that they're using? Grab their domain, type it in right there, and it pops up all of the keywords right there. And you can see what they're doing. Why not use it to your advantage?
Where were you in right there? I'm sorry.
This is in AdWords. Oh, sorry, go back. Google AdWords, so you just go to adwords.google.com. If you just put that part in, it'll get you to this. That's the whole full link to get you to the long spot. Okay. Google Alerts. Who has Google Alerts set up? Who has no clue what Google Alerts are? It's okay. Good. Google Alerts help you to monitor what people are saying about you, your name, your brand, your coworkers, your company. And it's very important that you know what's going on about your business and your brand. Somebody might be out there trashing you and you have no clue of it. And if you don't have something like this set up, you miss it. So for my business, I have them set up. Here's a couple of the ones that I have. One obviously for my business name, 210 Consulting. One for my partner, Jason Crouch, because I want to know if somebody's talking good or bad about him, because it's related to my business. I also have one set up for my Twitter handle, because sometimes people just refer to me as JB140, and then my name. And so you can see down here at the bottom, here are two recent ones that came in for me. And the second one here at the bottom was not my blog post, which, by the way, Google will also tell you, hey, when's your stuff getting indexed, which is really important. But it also shows you when somebody else is talking about you. So this is my friend Darren, who's up in Washington, D.C. He heard me speak out in Vegas a few weeks ago, and so he wrote a blog post about it. And so I got that alert, was able to pull it up, read the whole thing, comment on it. This was a nice article about me. But if it wasn't, I'd want to know that even more. And be able to go in, comment, maybe fix the problem, diffuse whatever the issue is, and make that person happy again. That's part of our business, is to make people happy, doing customer service as much as possible. So you get very important things like this. Now I will tell you, sometimes you don't get the most accurate, especially if you have a rather common name. As I mentioned, I had my business partner, Jason Crouch, right? I found out the other day, Jason's getting married again. I don't know who she is, but that's definitely not him. But in case you want to go, lodging is provided up at the Sealy Lake, just in case. The other thing that I found out the next day about Jason is that he was also in prison. I told him about that whole driving on a suspended license, but it didn't get very far. So you can find out, you know, sometimes not so important stuff, but it's okay. You need to know. One small tip with Google Alerts, when you set them up, if you notice, I put mine in quotation marks. By doing that, it pulls just when those words are combined together. One of the first times I set up and did this, I put my name in, and I just typed Jeremy Blanton, send it to me immediately. And right when I did that, the same day, the Philadelphia Phillies picked up a pitcher named Joe Blanton. And so every sports writer in the world was writing about Joe Blanton going to the Phillies. My inbox went on overload in about an hour's time. So I learned real quickly, do the quotation marks. It's really important to you. So, you know, getting married. Who wants to go to the wedding? Anybody want to go? Celia Lake sounds nice. So let's move on here. Google Calendar. It is awesome. If you're not using it, check it out. You can do so many things inside Google Calendar. You can have it set that I can pull up anybody's computer here and see what my schedule is for the next year and a half, 2 years, however far out I want to go. I can not only do that, I can go over, I can grab my phone. It's synced right to it. And when I pull out my phone and look at it, right now, I have this alert saying that in 10 minutes, I'm supposed to present. So, you know, you get that type of information as well. You can create calendars to share. Maybe you're part of a real estate team and you want to be able to have it so everyone can see. If you'll notice on my calendar, there's yellow things, Social Media Edge Radio. That's a radio show that I do with 3 other gentlemen every Tuesday. And so it's on my calendar that all of us can see. If we have a special guest coming up, any of us can go in, we can edit it and put it, and then we can all see who's coming up down the road. Really, really cool to do that. You can embed these into your site. There's so many things that you can do with it, and we just don't have time, unfortunately, to get into them all. Google Voice. Anybody here using Google Voice? Anybody here not? Google Voice is a lot of fun. It's really great. One of the reasons that I use it a lot is I love the fact that it saves my voicemail on my computer. So in 6 months from now, if an angry buyer or an angry seller comes back and says, I never said that, just a minute. I pull up my voicemail, look at it, and right there I can play the message for them. Some other things that's great with it is it will transcribe my entire message into a text. It comes right to my phone. It also sends me an email with the transcription of it. Now, one thing that I have to give you a little fair warning on, the transcription is not always the greatest. And with that, I'll talk a little bit more in a second, but let me give you 2 examples of it. So here's one.
What's up, David? Sorry, just wanted to get back to you. You're welcome to give me a ring on my cell here, 770-653-6155. Hope all is well. Too late.
So my name was changed to OJ, and phone numbers now only have 6 digits instead, or 9 digits instead of 10. Here's the next one.
Hey, it's me, and I was trying to get a hold of you, but you know what? That's okay. It's probably dinner time. We might be able to chat tomorrow. I am off to a hockey game. I'm going to go to the San Jose Sharks game. I will talk to you later. Go Sharks!
So, as you can see, Mike's a big fan of shirt skimming. And also prescriptions. Now with this, you know, let me take a little sidetrack here a minute. Anybody here doing a lot of video on your website, on your blog? Anybody just doing video and not putting a text with it? Yeah. Okay, good. Here's the reason why I mentioned that. A lot of times I talk to people and they say videos are the way of the future, and it is. YouTube right now is being searched 2 billion times a day. It's huge. But here's the thing is when you take a video and embed it just there and don't put any text with it, this is how Google Video is transcribing your words. Not very accurately. So you have to put at least a paragraph or two of text along with it to make it all make sense. You know, I'll give you one more example, and I didn't put it in here, but the other day, my wife called me, it was on a Sunday morning, and she said, "Hi Jeremy, we're not going to make it to church. Isabel's not feeling well. Can you ask your mom to let him know in the back?" I looked at the transcription of it. It had 4 curse words in it. So what did I do? Of course I walked over to my mom and said, "Here, you have a message from Kathy." And she looked at it. I said, "Mom, it just, oh, okay." So be careful with it. But Google Voice is great. You can have it ring multiple phones. So if you're in one area, instead of it ringing my cell phone, I can have it ring my office phone. I can have it ring all of them. And whoever picks up the first place, they get the call. So maybe you're part of a team. You have all your leads, go that, and whoever actually answers their phone gets the actual lead. So there's all kinds of cool things you can do with it. Let's move on here. Goo.gul. And up there in the top is those wonderful QR codes that Jeff was talking about earlier. I am not a huge fan of it, but if you want to have them, you can make them here in Goo.gul, and it is free. By the way, all the stuff we're talking about with Google is free. So, hey, who likes free besides me? Woo-hoo. But here's some stuff that you can do with Goo.gul. You can take a big long link. So maybe I have a specific blog post of mine that I want to track how many people are clicking on it. So I take that, go into Goo.gul, put it there. It gives me this short link, which would be goo.gul/7xy3jt, whatever it is. I don't know. And it makes this link. I take that link then and I share it on my Facebook wall, on Twitter, with friends, maybe email it out. What I can do then is I can track how many people are clicking it. And so you can see it started, went up, then all of a sudden went down. And then all of a sudden, there was this spike that started going back up. Why caused that? And so I could go and search and find out, oh, it's because 3 people tweeted that link again somehow. I can also track then and see who's referring it in. So maybe I have it set on 3 or 4 different websites, and I want to see which one's performing the best. You can see, obviously, the place where it's clicked most is on my 210 site. Active Rain, which is where I blog a lot as well, is next. I put the article up on Tech Savvy Agent, got some as well. I can also track where they're coming from. By the way, in case anybody didn't know this, the internet is called the World Wide Web for a reason. It's not just people in the United States anymore. Look at my list here. Yes, the United States is the #1 spot, but I have people from Peru, Indonesia, Pakistan, Canada, Thailand, Ukraine, China, Japan, Nigeria. People from everywhere are clicking on the links and they're following it to your site. So this is a great way for tracking those things, and that's just goo.gl. If you have a Google account, you go right there, throw in the link, and you're done. The other cool part is I can then take this and share it with other people. So maybe you have a seller who's saying, my site, you know, you said you're going to do all this internet marketing for me, and I just don't think anything's happening, and people aren't looking at, and my house isn't sold. Why is it? It's been on the market for 3 days. Anybody ever get that call? Here's one of the things you can do is instead of sharing just the long link from your site, create one of these. Give that link then to the seller and say, listen, you want to see what kind of traffic it's getting? Go right here whenever you want to, and you can see how many visits are coming to your site. The other way it's great is maybe 6-8 months down the road when you're saying you're not getting any business, something's going on here, you know, we're not getting any traffic in your house, people aren't coming in. Maybe it's time to adjust the price, right? Oh no, I'm not ready to adjust the price, because we all know, let's be real, price is 99% of the time the house hasn't sold. Because if we make it cheap enough, somebody will buy it. Had a Crayola house. Every wall is a different color. Once we lowered it enough, somebody bought it, amazingly. But you can take that link, give it to them, and they can see 3,000 people have clicked on this link in the last month. If 3,000 people have clicked on it and nobody's called to come and look at the house, maybe there's something wrong. We need to adjust. Yes?
Quick question. When you get a new listing, whatever, and maybe that's to like a power site or a one property-specific site, do you just make one link and just for the duration of that listing, just use that link?
Just use that link the whole time for them. And they can look at it even down the road 6 years later if they want to. So it's really a cool thing. Personally, sharing that link is 100 times cooler and more effective than putting one of those little square things on. Yes, ma'am? you have to create it inside the goo.goal. You can also use this to track how many people are clicking on your actual QR codes. Let's move on because we've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. FeedBurner. Anybody use FeedBurner on their site? You like it? Who has no clue what FeedBurner is? Awesome. I like it when nobody knows what I'm talking about. FeedBurner is a really cool tool. It's part of Google. Again, you just go to feedburner.com. It'll take you right there. What this does is it allows people to subscribe to my blog. You know, some people read my stuff on a regular basis and they like it, but I'm dependent then on them finding their way back to my site. By putting this small little subscribe box on the sidebar of my site, where they can just enter their email address, every time I write a new blog post, it instantly shows up in their inbox. So they're reading it, they're clicking on it and coming in. I set one up for my site about 8 months ago. You can see I already have over 1,000 people that are subscribed to it. So every time I write a post, it's going out to 1,000 emails. I don't have to do a thing with it. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to make a newsletter or anything. It just shows up for them the next day or within 24 hours. You know, and so I have for all types of different sites. I can also see then how many people are clicking on and going in, looking at the information. And it's really easy to set these up. You just go to feedburner.com. It says burn a feed right now. You grab your RSS feed, which if you're on WordPress, it's usually just your domain name.com/feed. Grab that link, put it in, it'll say burn it, then you just go over into the section where it says optimize. There's a code it gives you, copy, paste, and you're done. Literally, you could set this up in about 3 minutes time. Really, really effective though. Why do we want to have more people reading it and getting in their inbox? The more people that get it, the more chances you have of selling them something. Also, what's great is if they get it as an email, they really like it, they can hit the forward button and send it to their friends. So set one up if you don't. Google Docs. Anybody using Google Docs? If you're like me, I have only Apple products, and I have a lot of clients who don't have Apple products. So when they send me a Microsoft document, I can take it, download it to my computer, convert it into Pages, make whatever changes I need to, read it, do whatever, then convert it back to give to them. Or I can just open it up in a Google document, and it's right there. The other thing that's really nice is you can make shared documents. So what you see here on the screen is, you know, I mentioned about doing a radio show. This is actually our document where we put all the notes from all of us. And so you can see mine goes in red usually. Mike, who's over there, puts his in pink, what he's going to talk about. And then the notes that Ken and Jason want us to share and you know, notes for us as a whole are right there. We can all access it at any time. When I make a change, it instantly shows up on their computers as well. So we all have basically a live chat room that we can save to look at any time. So, you know, maybe you could use this with your team. You want to share documents of information, put it in here. You can do more than just create an actual Word document though. You can do presentations. You can put your PowerPoints on here to show anywhere, share anywhere. You can do spreadsheets. You can actually do even drawings now. The day that they released the drawing, we had quite an interesting, fun time. I should have saved that picture, Mike, where we put pictures of each of us in and then started drawing glasses on us and beards, and you know, we were like junior high kids, but it was fun. So you can do all kinds of things. You can also do collections where you put big sections together. And now even Google Docs allows you to put actual files in. So I can upload an actual video and save it there. All types of things like that. But the one that I really wanted to talk about, which I think is probably the most powerful part of all of Google Docs that most people look over, is the form. You can create forms for your site, and it automatically is going to pull all the information into a nice spreadsheet for you. So maybe you want to go and create just a little contest entry. Or maybe on the bottom of your blog post you say, would you like more information about this neighborhood? Fill out the form below and I will contact you. And so all you do is you go in, you hit create form, you pick the fields you want. So keep it simple, by the way. Don't put 27 fields. If you make people have to give you their name, their address, their phone number, their email, their birthday, first child's name, shoe size, all that stuff, they're not going to do it. Keep it really simple. Name, phone number, email address. I've got 2 ways to contact them. It takes them 10 seconds to fill in those things and hit submit. As soon as they hit submit, it pulls it right into a nice little form. So this is when I did a contest. I had 219 people fill out the form. All their information was there. So what was I able to do with that? I ran a contest, gave away a WordPress site. But then I also had 219 new contacts to send and say, sorry, you didn't win, but if you need help with the site, I can help you here. I didn't push it on them and say, you have to buy from me. I just gave them the option. From that, I had probably 5 or 6 people who contacted me and said, I want a site. So it worked really well. So you can do the same type of thing. You know, would you like more information on this neighborhood? Fill out the form. When they fill it out, you take it, add it to your newsletter feed, or you can set them up maybe on an auto mailer for listings in that neighborhood, whatever you want to do. Be creative with it, but set these up, and it's free to do. You can then also filter it. You can mark it off, so you can go in then and label things. So maybe I had one of these before when I was doing a class, and I would call the people to register them. And that way, if I push the button, go away. We're just going to keep pushing the button, maybe it'll go away. Okay, how about that? And so I was able to call them. Well, when I called them, some people said, oh, I'm not ready now. Can you call me in a week? So I would just maybe label their line yellow. Or maybe I have this as a group thing, and you want to make it for what's my home worth? I want to know what my home's worth. Fill out the form below, and you have a team. Well, if I've called them, we definitely don't want Kevin calling them tomorrow to do the same thing, and then Bobby calling them the next day, and Brandy the next day. People will get mad. So we need to have a way of keeping track of it all. And so maybe once they're called, if they say, yes, we want to list, make them green. If they say, don't ever contact me again, maybe make them red. So you can do all those types of things with it, and it's really, really a powerful thing. Yes, Kevin?
Would it be possible, say like on a blog post that I say, you know, I'm writing about a neighborhood and I say, here's the 25 listings in that neighborhood, like upload, say like from Excel into that with live links? So they could just click on live links for 210 Mulberry Street and then a link to the property? Can you do that?
I'm not following you, but I think what you're saying is kind of the backwards way of the way that this works. This is for creating the Excel sheet, of getting people's information into it instead of making an Excel and do it. There is a way you can probably put it all in an Excel and do it, but when you copy paste it in, it's going to pull all this extra Microsoft coding with it and make it look ugly.
Okay. Create a Google Doc and then embed that Google Doc into a blog post that's dynamically updated. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, you can create in Google Docs. You just click share, and it'll give you 2 options. It'll give you an embed code, and it'll give you like a live embed code. So basically, when you go back into Google Docs and update that, what's on your website is dynamically updated.
Okay, cool.
Which is great if you have like 5 or 6 that in 5 or 6 different places, but you don't have to individually update those 5 sites.
Okay, cool.
There's your answer.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. I'm glad I could answer it.
No problem.
I can take credit for it. I have a microphone, right?
Sure.
Woo! So what other questions do y'all have? Anybody have anything about what we covered? Are you awake? Yes.
So why is it that you don't really care for the QR codes? Oh.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
My experience with it is a lot of people don't click on them.
Okay.
And not to get too in depth with it, but here's my story. And her question was, why don't you like QR codes? I have this saying, and I say, you know, there's the cutting edge, and then there are those people who go to the bleeding edge. I think it's a cool technology. I think it has a place to be used, that it could be successful. I don't think we've found it yet. And, you know, like Jeff said, it's a shiny object that somebody saw, and they went, this is cool, and it's geeky, and watch what you can do. And it's really neat to show at the seller presentation for your listing, but really, who's going to click on it, and how many actually do? My experience, what I've seen is very, very few. And what I've also seen is I've seen a lot of people using them incorrectly. Why do I need to put a QR code on my website that when I scan goes to my website?
Right. Right.
You're already there. You know, and here's the other part. If I just put this QR on and somebody doesn't, and surprisingly, there are still people who don't have smartphones. I know it shocks a lot of you, but I worked for T-Mobile for about 6 months, And probably I would say 80% of the people who came in the room and bought a phone did not want one, did not need all that stuff, didn't even care about it. So if all I have is that available to them, am I helping them? No. You got to have a link that somebody can physically type. And for me, I just would rather have that. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
The best way I heard somebody describe it is it's like posting a picture to take you to somewhere to tell you what time it is. Just tell them what time it is.
Yeah, what he said is it's basically like posting a picture to tell you, go here to find out what the time is, instead of saying it's 10:34 and I have 1 minute left. So who has time for one more question? Anybody? Yes, sir. I missed something of it. Say it again. You can choose when you set it up, you either use theirs or have one of your own when you set it up. Mine's set for my cell phone. I've had that cell phone number for 12 years. And so I wasn't going to get rid of it or lose it. And so mine's, when somebody calls my cell phone number, if I don't answer it, it goes right to my Google account.
But you can't have it call two other. You can't have it call two other phones.
Yeah, you can.
Is that part of the phone?
No, you can. You can. Mike has his set up that when somebody calls his number, it rings his cell phone, his office phone, and everywhere else that he has. Yes, ma'am. I am not sure on that one.
Yeah, it's a $20 fee. You can port your existing number over.
You can, it's just a fee. I know there was one question up here quick, and then we'll get going. Who had a question up here?
I was wondering about help, Google Help. I have a hard time finding out more details about each of these. How did you learn all this?
How did I learn it? Trial and error. Here's the best thing in the world, and I heard this piece of advice from somebody, actually it was Gary Vaynerchuk said it at the RE/MAX convention. But somebody told me, she said, I tried that once and it didn't work. He said, listen, you need to try everything at least 3 times before you just write it off as not being. And so I usually try things for at least 2 to 3 months. Prime example right now is this phone. I hate it. I'm on month 2.5. So I have about 3 weeks before I can just get rid of it and go get what I really want. But you know, my wife said, try this, it's less money, see what you think. So that would be my closing advice for everybody. Try things at least 3 times. If it doesn't work, then let it go. All right? Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You know what? On that, Google for every one of its things for